This video is going to be my first preview for the Ravens-Rams matchup in Week 14 in Baltimore. It's somewhat of an incomplete preview. I'll give you that information up front. I wanted to communicate at least a couple of things to Ravens fans in general that might be obvious to be real. If you watch most of the Rams games every week, I don't get the opportunity necessarily to watch the games live. Have 4 games film of their offense at this point. After going through 2 of them, some things that some of you may already know. Under center tendency to run, at least in the film that I have, is quite heavy, and I'll explain that in a minute. We all know that Sean McVay utilizes 11 personnel, generally keeps the same guys on the field. And then Puka Nacua is a phenom. He's a fun player to watch for real. Not necessarily going to be fun to watch him match up with the Ravens. The Ravens have an excellent defense. If you're a Rams fan, you're listening, you clearly know that. So it's an interesting matchup for me on multiple levels. I'm going to separate this into 2 portions. Number 1, I'm going to focus on the under center run game that I see and tell you about the tendencies that I have noticed and just the plays that I have, which is 17 under center. I've whittled it down to 17. I think it's actually 28, but I'm only going to show you, I think, 13. And then I'll take a look at some of the film of and usage of Nacua, who is a guy that's, first of all, very smart, extremely solid frame, great hands. I mean, the way he catches the ball across multiple locations, multiple areas, Stafford trusts him clearly and knows that he can put the ball, I don't want to say anywhere, because Stafford is trying to get the ball away from defenders, fit it in windows, just like he did during their Super Bowl winning season in a lot of ways. 90 points scored in the last 3 games, their winning streak. I think the offense has smoothed some things out in terms of being consistent over the course of the last 3 weeks. 36 and 37 points in the last 2 weeks, I think, deserves a lot of attention. Under center stats, I got 17 plays, 15 runs, 2 passes. Small sample size, of course. I'm sure over the course of the season, it's not really that unbalanced. Very good zone blocking team, outside zone, some inside zone. I really love how they utilize and expect their receivers to block, particularly on some of the Jill ISO or wind back stuff. Pitch and toss game is very effective. I'll try to explain to you 2 small iterations that I see in the run game, and then they run some Wham trap, and that's what we'll start here in a moment, that everybody in 2023 seems to be running once a game. Offense is rolling lately, like I said, 90 points in the last 3 games. It's not just the 90 points, because sometimes you get defensive touchdowns, special teams touchdowns. It's 1,200 yards of offense in those last 3 games. Only 2 turnovers during that time. Like I said, we're going to start the film with under center stuff. This is against San Francisco early on in the year. It's Wham trap. It's only for 5 yards, but 11 personnel, like we said, that they utilize almost exclusively, running it to the tight end side. Same way the Ravens run it. They're going to step out the tackle to the edge defender, outside linebacker, D-end, whatever, and then Wham trap the D-end. Guys are going to release up to linebacker level. In some cases, they're trapping this guy as well. A lot of teams in the NFL are using it. I first started to notice it with the Lions. I actually drew the blocking scheme up incorrectly there. It's the one where both guys are being trapped. Both D tackles are being pulled. I kind of mentioned it a moment ago, but number 70. The right guard is going to trap the defensive tackle over here. Some people call it triple trap, whatever, but it's Wham trap in the terminology that I learned. And it just takes advantage of NFL defensive linemen's desire to get off the football, get off the ball, get upfield, create penetration, try to get to the quarterback. Only 5 yards, but I thought I would show it first. It stuck out like a sore thumb because everything else is pretty much zone stuff. Puka Nacua is used as a lead blocker. Multiple guys, but this is on multiple receivers but this is on a 4th and 1 against Arizona. Some real downhill push from the offensive line here that again kind of sticks out as an anomaly because there's not always downhill push from those guys, but folding the receiver up into the open B gap, taking advantage of the 4-2-5 nickel personnel that you would normally see from a defense responding to 11 personnel, often using compressed formations. Nacua folds up in here, 8-yard run by Williams, who I feel like is a super talented running back on a 4th and 1. Huge element for the Ravens, defending the run out of 11 personnel defense, out of their nickel. It's been a problem. It just has. It was a problem against the Colts in Week 3. It's a problem against the Browns at home 3 weeks ago. In the preseason, it was a problem against the Eagles. And this is the quandary that the Rams are going to try to present. They motion through An edge defender responsible for outside gap. Just count the gaps, how many gaps there are, and how many primary defenders. There's 7 gaps and 6 primary defenders. The nickel or someone is going to have to be involved if we're going to take on base blocks in this way and create and allow this big old gap to be created inside here. It's what the Rams are relying on, and then 11 personnel being able to, quote, spread the field some more, create more room, more running lane. If the 9 technique is going to be that wide, it's 7 gaps for 6 defenders, no matter how you cut it. Compressed formations is another element that you see across the 11 personnel usage under center, I should say. And that's what McVay has run there a lot in recent years. Compressed formations down here to the bottom side. This is last week against the Browns. Pretty sure he got an obvious hold on Nacua against one of the nickel defender, 22, or I think it's Delpit. It just grabs him from behind. A lot of motion, compressed formation. Additionally, someone's got to be responsible for boot on every single play. Even though you have this heavy run-pass percentage, again, I'm quite sure that it's not that heavily weighted across the entire season, but you got run action to one side, boot to the other, threat of the tight end, leaking out into the flats. In this case, he's not. He's kicking the edge defender or trying to cut him down, Myles Garrett. Running back getting downhill, I think, for plus 8 yards against the Browns. Browns have had some trouble defending the run in recent weeks, and the Rams were able to generate 120 on the ground against them last week. Offensive line is really good. Now, this is somewhat easy on the edge because you have the defensive end, 97, kind of stemming inside. But motion, run to the motion, or with the motion, I should say, or sometimes run against the motion. And then the play action boot off of it. You'll notice that in this case, it's a DB responsible for the boot by the quarterback, Stafford. Someone's got to be responsible for it on each play, even if, according to the data, you see it very rarely. I wonder if, and it seems to me as if you get the boot later on in the game after they've conditioned you to defend the run under center more often. Interesting use of the outside linebacker D-end here by the Browns. 54, he's basically inside the tight end's alignment. So as opposed to the alignment I showed you from the end zone angle on the 4th and 1 by Arizona, he's inside shade of the tight end. So on run action away, it's going to be damn near impossible for this tight end to dig him out of there to scoop him. However, that could expose you to outside run to that side. So there's always a give and take based on alignment. 54 and or the Browns may have had some kind of tell or information about what it was going to be. But check out the corner to the bottom side. I think it's 25. Like I said, somebody's got to be responsible for boot. When it's under center, if you're watching the game and you're interested in trying to predetermine or guess, best guess possible, what the offense is going to do, someone's got to be responsible for boot. You can see that you've got receivers potentially crossing face. Constant threat of the play action boot by Stafford. It's a foundational element of their offense and has been for years. Like I said, we're only able to generate 120 against the Browns. It's not like they gashed them, but the Browns gave it 120, 169, and 172 in their last 3 games. So where does the Rams run game, particularly under center, fit against this Ravens defense? I'm not sure. I'm not claiming that it's going to be a problem. 11 personnel run defense has occasionally been a problem in some of the games that I mentioned earlier, particularly the Colts and then the Browns in the second half, if you ask me. Downhill stuff, there's not always a large push. Against the Cardinals in the 2 games that I've seen, they've gotten more downhill push. The Ravens' front 6 and 7 will be tested when the Rams are under center. Again, you notice compressed formation, 11 personnel, jet motion, quarterback, running back mesh of some kind, boot off of it or play action off of it. That's the element you're going to see under center. Not saying they don't run trick plays, not saying there's not reverses in there. This is consistently what I'm seeing across the 31 or 32 plays that I've seen under center. All right, going to change gears a little bit. Under center, they love to run outside, or try to run outside, I should say, with the pitch or the toss. Now, this is pitch. He is opening to the flow of the running back. So for what I was taught, that's pitch. Nice little one-hand pitch. Pin pull action, cup pinning down on the D end. Tackle pulling out to go out in space and go get someone. Allows the running back to get behind him. Out on the edge. Brown struggled on this particular play, but had 2 really nice examples of how to defend it, which I'll show you one of them here as well. It can be with the motion or without it. Another thing to mention is Nacua is blocking the backside D end, and 89 is cupping to go get him, so I'm not sure what went on there on that particular play, but the Rams run this stuff well. It's clean. It's quick. I'm quite sure that Stafford can audible to it at any time, just like he can with the pass play in the shotgun. Force players have to be involved. Nacua is going to pin down on Myles Garrett here on the edge, allowing the tight end and the tackle to pull outside in space. You got 2-on-2 out there, running back trying to get out in space, linebacker 44 and 6 able to pursue. If you can do a good job forcing the ball inside, then you can turn it back inside to your pursuing players. Ravens got fast inside linebackers. Edge defenders, everybody's got to be aware when you get compressed formation, it's a constant threat. It is. If you blow up the point of attack, force the running back to cut it back, you have an opportunity to make a big play. All right, Kupp and Atwell this time are the pin down blockers. Same concept, multiple games, or multiple times in this game, I should say. Pinning down. Letting the puller, the right tackle, go out, try to get the force defender, corner in this case. If you're playing man, it can be a real problem because you're stepping down with the guy you're responsible for, and it can allow you to be pinned inside a little bit easier. Great concept, if you ask me. Complements their downhill stuff very well. Haven't seen a lot of play action off of this opening by Stafford. So as I get to watch the Cardinals and the Seahawks game from the last 3 weeks, then maybe I'll see some. All right, this is toss now. Toss will usually go with the final distribution of the motion. It's a reverse pivot. That's what I would call toss. So the quarterback opening to face us on the screen right here. You can see his chest. And then that's opposite the flow of the running back. So I would call that toss. Usually goes with the final distribution. Pitch is more variable. It can go with or against the motion. Toss, at least the ones that I've seen, goes with the motion. It makes sense. Only 2 instances of play action here, to be honest with you. Not saying that it's not utilized more often from a percent standpoint. And it's extremely dangerous. Anytime that you've got a quarterback with that kind of arm and that kind of history of making big plays, you got somebody who can make all the throws downfield on play action. Amazing pursuit from the backside by 25 for Arizona. Potential lane developing and chases it all the way down. Still a 7-yard gain. I actually really love the offensive system. I'm a Ravens fan, but I'm not looking forward to them having to defend this because McVay and Stafford and these guys have run it for so many years. They've seen all the looks. They've seen so many looks. You're just going to have to defeat blocks. At the D tackle, inside linebacker position, you're going to have to defeat blocks in order to win. The play action boot, somebody's always got to be on it. They'll try to create numbers, advantages in their favor, and they've done so down here. Tight end, outside linebacker, man in motion in the corner, boot or play action off of it by the quarterback. You can see there is nobody there. Initially, finds Higbee, who's a dangerous player on 3rd down, and on these play action boot concepts at all times. I'm only able to really cover 2 elements in this video just because of time. As it stands on Thursday, haven't been able to check out every snap from the Cardinals and Seahawks game. Like I said, I wanted to focus on this element, the under center run and play action pass game. Haven't seen a whole lot of play action success from the film that I have. That doesn't mean that it's not there at all. So I don't want to make generalizations before I've been able to check out all the film. All right, the other element that I want to talk about, and it's really fun, and it'll be more fun in the offseason, is Puka Nacua. I'm not sure that anybody really expected him to be this successful this early on. Fun player to watch. 77 catches, 118 targets, 4 touchdowns, over 1,000 yards receiving already. I mean, everybody knows all these things. Combine him with Cooper Kupp, and I think it's Tutu Atwell. That's a dangerous 11 personnel group of wide receivers, if you ask me. Spend a lot of time in 11 personnel. Nacua lines up all over the place, but I'm going to separate these into 2 locations. As the X or outside receiver, I should say, and then in the slot. Strong at the catch point. Runs routes everywhere, particularly underneath. I'd say he's very tough underneath. Seems like he reads the space really well in zone or any split field type coverage when corners are off like you see here, and Stafford relies on him. Had 15 catches on 20 targets against the 49ers in week 2. I did have that film. You see something like that numbers-wise, and it strikes you from a rookie. So I went back and saved the film, hoping to be able to do something with it later on, and sure enough, I could. Just really strong, smart underneath, finds the open space. This guy came into the league on a tear. I think 25 catches in the first 2 games. Just does a great job on these drags from the outside receiver position. Some will call it, in breaking routes, under routes, whatever. We just call it a drag. Does a great job against man. Basically clear out routes from the top side of the field. Simple and very effective. 20 yards against man coverage in week 2. And his teammates on the sideline had a lot to say to the 49ers DBs about it. Really love this one from early in the season. Outside receiver again, not a compressed alignment. You can see the difference in the alignment in the shotgun in some of these passing situations, but as compared to the under center stuff. If you're listening and you're a Rams fan or a Ravens fan who has sites that you look at for data, I'm sure there's data out there about under center versus shotgun stuff. It doesn't matter what you do. This is a brilliant catch. I don't know how you can watch this from the end zone angle and not appreciate it. I'll be rooting against him on Sunday, but it's damn sure fun to watch him and Stafford go to work in the film that I have. I think I had 62 targets or something like that saved up to cut this video for you guys. Stafford has Kupp. He has Nacua. Kupp is clearly going to subtract from Nacua's target totals for sure. In the last 5 weeks, he's got 19 catches on 36 targets. I think if I did my math right. Feel free to go check it. But he's going against Dallas, Green Bay, Seattle, Arizona, and the Browns. I'm going to move on to slot stuff here in a moment. He's very crafty, inside, very smart. I'd say maybe his route tree is a little bit more explosive. But Stafford clearly trusts him, to be real, on the outside. Does he win cleanly as much in man on the outside from a physical standpoint? I mean, maybe not, but look, he just does everything well, if you ask me. Super crafty and smart. I'll compare this route to one that I'll show you 2 plays from now. He uses what is his route tree extremely well. Like a stutter, go, faking an in route here, getting the corner to just stop his feet. And his start-stop ability is really underrated, man. This ball's incomplete, but he's making himself available against man, the little stutter, faking some kind of route, in breaking here, which you'll see in a moment. He runs often and to great effect at times. Somewhat similar to the drag, not exactly the same route, not the same release. Very strong through contact, like I said, whether he's on the outside or the inside. I feel like if you have route tree information, it's probably a lot shorter stuff as an outside receiver than as a slot. And that's just from the film that I have. One thing to note, he's got over 80 touches this year, but between his 77 catches and his 4 runs, only 1 fumble that he recovered, by the way. Really strong frame from what I see, meaning his hips, his core, his hands, obviously, and his ability to play through contact. This is a super player that they've got. 3rd and 10. Compare this to the stutter go that I showed you. I tried to package those 2 plays together. Not sure why I ended up with one in between them. But when he does fake the stutter go, he's faking some type of in-breaking route. I do think that he can be had from a press man standpoint if you've got a super athletic corner. Nonetheless, he's very crafty. He reminds me of like an NBA 2 guard that people say, well, he's not fast, he's not explosive. How does he end up scoring 26 every night? I just feel like he's a super smart guy, and him and Stafford have things figured out really well. They seem to be really prepared for the coverages they're going to get. A lot of damage as an X underneath, like I said, or as an outside receiver, I should say, particularly underneath, particularly against match coverages, zone coverages. He's able to find open space, and Stafford looks for him quick. He's either part of the read often, or he's the first place Stafford goes to, however his reads are built. I feel like he's really dangerous in the slot. More so down the field dangerous. Not saying he hasn't made any catches as an outside receiver, but This is last week's 70-yard touchdown against the Browns. Great throw by Stafford. It's this weird Tampa 2 by the Browns that I haven't seen them play a whole lot of, to be honest with you, where they're dropping their D tackles and the inside linebacker to the bottom side of the field is pushing to the flat. So when I call it a Tampa 2, there's going to be some pushback on that. You're getting a Mike linebacker running in between the hash. This guy's basically becoming a half-field safety with the other side safety. As soon as Stafford looks over here to the left, he's already looked, and he sees the inside linebacker pushing out to the flats, and this corner getting off, he immediately comes back to Nacua. Perfect throw, over the top, great speed, takes to the house 70 yards. He went there immediately. I'll show you the end zone angle so you can see it. I mean, at this point, you're talking about week 13, so clearly he trusts Puka Nacua. But look at Stafford over there. Whatever he sees, whatever he knew pre-snap, and he confirmed by looking over here. When he comes back, he goes right up top to Nacua that you guys can only partially see on the left side. I think he knew the coverage he was probably going to get, and whatever he saw off screen to our right, his left, confirmed it for him, and he knew that he was just going to have to throw the ball over the top of this linebacker, split the Tampa 2. I'm calling it Tampa 2. It's a weird Tampa 2. If you were to just look at the final delineation of the zone coverage, guys, it's a Tampa 2. People got different names for it, whatever. He's down here at the bottom in the bunch with Kupp, and this is an amazing catch on a fade versus man. Like I said, the matchup versus the Ravens is going to be a lot of fun to watch. Our outside receivers, slot defenders, Kyle Hamilton, Arthur Millette. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch these young guys. I know Marlon Humphrey's not young at this point. To watch mostly young guys for the Ravens match up with a rookie, Cooper Kupp, Higbee the tight end, Atwell, who's made some plays. This is a abbreviated / incomplete preview, like I said. I wanted to focus on two elements, the under center offense, and then Puka Nacua. I mean, I wanted to do a video on him earlier this year. I feel like I was remiss. Anytime he's in the slot, anytime he's number 2 or number 3 in trips, look for something to the other side of the field. Look for something vertical. I'm not saying he doesn't run any outside releases from a number 2 or number 3 position in trips. I'm being specific. In trips or bunch. But generally what I'm seeing is he's threatening down the field. His route tree looks a little different to me at first glance. That was a pass interference, by the way. They called it pass interference down here at the bottom side of the field on this corner for Cooper Kupp, basically running him over. Again, he's number 3 in trips on the inside. With how well they played offensively in recent weeks, and the Ravens' defense is clearly capable of handling multiple styles of offense, I wonder what the Rams' focus is going to be coming in. They've seen other teams utilize similar game plans, 11 personnel, shotgun stuff, running the football. They do have some effective run concepts out of the gun, don't get me wrong, including the pistol set, which I didn't focus on here. I feel like in some of these videos, it's best for me to break things down into pieces. You may want me to focus on other pieces in future videos. I was trying to get this one done today, Thursday, before the Thursday night football game came on. In any case, you guys let me know what you think of the way I chose to start the previews. I think this is a really interesting matchup. Their 3-game winning streak gets them to 6-6. They come to Baltimore and get a win. They're 7-6. Great opportunity for them to try to squeak into the playoffs. Would have been difficult to say that 4, 5, 6 weeks ago, particularly before Cooper Kupp came back. It did have 2 monster games in the middle of the season, or I think it was week 7, week 8, something like that. Appreciate you guys' time. If you're a Ravens fan or a Rams fan, please consider sharing a link out on this video, a link out on social media to help this video get more reach if you enjoyed it. Number 1. Number 2, if you have some suggestions or ideas for how to focus on this matchup further, please let me know. I'll have a preview out Saturday morning early that focuses on the Ravens' coverages and what we might see them do to try to slow down Matt Stafford, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, and the entire Rams offense. Appreciate you guys' time.